Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring the Cowboy Bebop role-playing game. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop RPG based on the popular or perhaps even cult classic sci-fi anime, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the session. A session is the building block of a campaign. In these sessions you will experience the situations that you would expect to see in the anime. At the start of the session, the big shot stashes risk and the bounty hunters roll for rhythm, giving them each additional resources to spend during the session. A session is composed of 3 tabs, each one presenting a part of the scenario with clear and distinct goals, threats and rewards. The tabs are Guest, G-E-S-T, short for Get Everybody and the Stuff Together. This is when things are quiet and the characters are starting to gear up for the main story of the session. Then you have 3, 2, 1, when the hunt is on, and the characters are getting into confrontations, investigations, and more action scenes. Usually the main goal is to reveal the bounty secret. Then you have Let's Jam. When the final confrontation happens, the characters experience the grand finale of the episode, and the consequences of success or failure become clear. So this is very thematic, just like the anime opening. Get everybody and the stuff together. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Then we have Framing. The big shot is in charge of framing each tab, setting the scene and defining 3 main things. The difficulty. Every tab has a starting number for difficulty, which escalates throughout the session. This concerns the tests, of course. The big shot can increase the difficulty by 1 for each risk spent at the start of a tab, as well as by using shocks after a test. Then you have Main Objective for the characters. The big shot should set up at least one objective clock that corresponds to the bounty hunters succeeding at their main task in the tab, and therefore the tab being considered a success. Then you have the Main Threat. The big shot should set up at least one threat clock that corresponds to a tab failure, whether that's something that the bounty hunters might fail to do, or some external threat that will affect them. During the tab, the bounty hunters make tests, generating hits and shocks. Bounty hunters will spend the hits, and the big shot will spend the shocks to tick the clocks. A tab ends if one or more of the following events occurs during a single test. Perhaps the objective clock is closed. The tab ends and is considered a success. Create a session trait and the players move to the next tab or to the session's conclusion, which is See You, Space Cowboy. Another possibility is when the threat clock is closed. The tab ends and is considered a failure, and the threat clock's event occurs before the players move on to the next tab or to the session's conclusion. There is also the possibility of a bounty hunter's character marking their last bullet. The tab ends and is considered a failure, and a new bad consequence occurs. Something that relates directly to the memory of the character who marked their last bullet, or that will primarily affect this character. During a single test, these 3 events are not mutually exclusive. The first is considered a success, and the other 2 a failure, but there's always a chance that they can happen together. Think about that when you write clock events. A single test could tick both of the threat and objective clocks, since the bounty hunter and the big shot use their hits and shocks at the same time. Characters can be successful and make a mess. Success and failures must be clear. Each player should know which clock means success for the tab, which clock means failure, and that marking their last bullet means a different kind of failure. A bounty hunter can always choose to mark their last bullet to try to prevent the threat clock from being filled, sacrificing their character for something greater. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to go deeper into the 3 tabs and many other things. I like the structure in this tabletop RPG and how things are framed together. There is a certain pace or mood to things. It feels like you are actually in the middle of a musical performance, so to speak, and this creates the situations that you would expect to see in an episode of the anime. Each segment of the session makes it feel as if you are undergoing some sort of race. But it's not always a fast race, sometimes it's a slow race. But the clocks are ticking, so you need to move carefully if you want your character to reach his or her objectives, and if you want to stop things from becoming a complete tragedy. Of course, as many of you know, the episodes in Cowboy Bebop, especially, well, to avoid spoilers, they usually don't have the happiest of endings. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. This has been Abraham El Jaguar, a professional game master. If you want me to run a game for you, please check out the pinned comment below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.